having a good Labor Day weekend, and that your Bitcoining is going well. If you're trading, yeehaw. If you're not, yeehaw, yeehaw. I hope you're all touching some grass or something. Speaking of touching grass, have you noticed how very green it can be? And have you noticed how very green the profit taking can be when you don't just sit in swing trading positions? Bleh, my tongue got tucked. And when you don't just sit in swing trading positions on volatile assets like Bitcoin or Solana or anything else. And have you noticed, if you're looking at the charts today at all, just how much Bitcoin is taking advantage of the market? And no, it's not the asset itself that's doing it, it's the sell pressure. People are selling because they're taking profits, and they're doing it on the weekend when folks are largely away. And if you ask why, well, people are selling and expect that people will be buying once the lows are in, which you'll know when the VEPS tells you that they are. Right? There will be more buy pressure after the sell pressure has run out. At the moment, that sell pressure is very much not running out. It is, in fact, very much on. How can you tell? Well, the returns are dropping and the price is following suit. And the returns aren't just dropping, they've been dropping with positive correlation. That means the returns will generally fall to the downside. How else can you tell? Well, for instance, when the volatility is rising and the correlation is falling, the price will usually fall. And that's been happening on a bunch of time frames. How else can you tell? Well, same thing when you have expanding entropy that's expanding into a trending move, for example, and the correlation is expanding and increasing negatively, you typically get a trending move to the downside. And we've seen that a few times today already on lower time frames like the 15 minutes or so. And where are the entries and exits? Well, if you look at the VRE chart, you'll see very clearly Bitcoin went below the third daily support level, which is really just the buy level. You can call it support if you want, but it went below that level and it tested the whole top half of the central monthly range and then dipped below a little bit further. And you can see that very clearly if you look at the central monthly range on the VRE. And why is that interesting at all? Well, because you can see where the entries and exits are for those trades on the lower time frames. And you can even see on lower time frames of Laplace levels and normal distribution levels where it dropped down to, bounced back up from, dropped back down to, and so on and so forth until it got to where it's at now. And by the way, the mean reversions that I told you could happen, I said they could happen today or tomorrow easily. Well, guess what? They happened, right? On the 4 hour, the mean reversion happened. There's still one happening on the 3 hour. It has not yet completed. It came within a grand or so, but it has not completed. So the mean reversion to the 30-12 RMLR remains in progress. At least it did until 15 minutes ago when I last saw the screen, maybe 20 minutes ago. But the 4 hour mean reversion that was in progress for a good number of days has completed. So there you go. And it's another example of mean reversions can happen in continuation. So this one happened in continuation to the downside, right? Yes, it would have been nice for people who were looking for longs if it would have completed to the upside when it was up and around 66K or whatever. But that was not in the cards. The probabilities did not play out to that upside this time. It played out to the downside. And the RMLR dropped and dropped and dropped. And eventually the asset ran into it. And that is because assets do two things, right? Returns do two things. They distribute away from the means, and then they mean revert. That's all they do. The price action just follows. So, are there really any big surprises on the day? No. It's a holiday weekend. A lot of people are taking profits. They're seeing the price fall. They're panicking because they don't know how to trade the VEPs. They're selling in a panic because they don't know what's going to go on Tuesday when the market is back. Traditional market is back. And so they are doing everything they possibly can in order to make sure that they are not left holding a bag that they don't want to be holding when the market comes back. But guess what's going to happen? Very likely to those people who dumped and sold at the lows. Guess what the smart money does when the price is low? They buy. And guess what they do when the price is high? They sell. And when I say price, I mean the price that results from the returns, right? If we see the returns are going to continue to drop, positively correlated, well, then the price is going to keep falling, more than likely. Until it stops doing that, it's a sell fest. You're going to keep seeing more sell pressure stack on and stack on. And it's going to get to a point where there's going to be a lot of buy pressure there. And it's going to start pushing it back up. This isn't rocket science. If you're looking for levels of where things are going, again, the VRE chart, Laplace distribution levels, normal distribution levels, these are very solid entry and exit points, right? Standard deviation bands of the laser returns, alpha volatility quality, entry and exit points, either at the extreme outliers or when the asset crosses over the mean or below the mean. I mean, the MA. Anyway, thought I would tell you that. And I hope that you make the most of it. And, stack your sats, as they say. Really now is a very prescient time for people who have long-term strategic thinking about Bitcoin, and for traders who are looking to stack sats at a fairly good price. When I say fairly good, I mean it's considered low risk right now. So it makes sense, people looking to do that, because all the top banks and all the top bankers are looking at this asset, and they've already decided, this is the future of financial transactions, and we want a piece of it. And they're going to do whatever they have to get a piece of it. So, not financial advice, but if you want to know what the smart money is doing, look at what they're doing. And big wallets have already bought up more than 2 million Bitcoin this year. Told you it was going to happen. It's been happening at an accelerated pace while people weren't looking. And more than 90% of Bitcoin is owned by people who will never sell it. Ever. So, if you want to consider that fact as part of your formula of whether or not it's an asset you should be interested in, from a financial point of view, I highly recommend learning about it. And again, to remind you, this asset, which didn't exist 15 years or 16 years ago, has now become one of the most liquid assets in the world. And in so doing, it has attracted the attention of the most moneyed people and groups and companies and governments in the world. People who see and understand the future of finance. And they understand that this asset class is not going away anytime soon. And that we're really at the beginning of it. And yes, we're at the beginning of it, but also we're not, because if you were truly in the beginning of it, you could stack thousands of these coins for practically nothing, like when it was free, and it obviously no longer is free. So, keep that in mind. And also, 15 years ago, banks could not care about this thing, and you could have thousands of them, and they wouldn't pay you a dime for it. Now each one costs 60 grand, 50 grand, whatever the number is. Most people can't afford one. And it doesn't matter. Most people will never be able to buy one anyway. Because like I said, 91% of all of them that can ever be mined are already in the hands of whales who really never need to sell them because they already have other wealth. And if they ever sell any, it's just to sell tops and buy bottoms. So keep that in mind and happy trading. See ya.